view that we need more rules effectively, but the signatories to this, the people who are really the companies that are really touting how aware they've become, are, it seems like, actively they're in the vanguard of fighting against those additional rules. Is that perception correct?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, in a sense, if you look at the stakeholder capitalism stuff, I mean, it's kind of like if you had a sport, right? And there were players and they were playing dirty in that sport. Let's say it's soccer or something. They're playing dirty and they're fouling people. And they've been doing it for 20 years because it helps them win games, right? Then what you're going to find is that when someone tries to close the loophole by saying, like, where the hell are the refs? The first thing they're going to say is, what, like, we don't need refs, good sportsmanship. That's the answer, which is effectively what stakeholder capitalism is, right? It comes at a point where we're probably haven't had smart regulation on key areas for years, and so they're trying to keep it away. And I think what is the most kind of a little bit annoying about it in a way, right, is that if you look at what's happening today, on one hand, they're selling things like stakeholder capitalism, right, which stakeholder capitalism looks like in 1954 when the cigarette industry put out something called the frank statement to cigarette smokers, and they were like, we care about your health. And we all know afterwards it was just to, like, keep regulation away as long as possible and just muddy the waters, no pun intended, to delay regulation. And so that's what stakeholder capitalism is.
Who's done more research on the subject than the good people at the American tobacco industry? They say it's harmless. Why would they lie? If you're dead, you can't smoke.
But the worst part about it is that they're using one hand to delay taxes and regulation. And then in the growing social angst that's opening up in between, because people are like, what the hell are we doing on climate change? And look at inequality and spilling into the streets. They're using the other hand to sell a bunch of green crap, right? It's a whole bunch of products that, like all of these ESG ETFs, there's no measurable impact out of any of them, right? They can't measure a thing, and they're selling it clearly to people who believe that by buying it and paying 43% greater fees, they must be creating some impact that wouldn't have otherwise happened, when none of that's the case. And the worst part, all of that is being done under the guise of responsible business, right? And if you stop and think about it, you're kind of like, wait a second, like, if you have a CEO who's 68 or something, it's like clearly in their interest to do it, but it's not clear to me it's in their own employees' interests, right? If you're a 20 or 30 or 40-year-old at BlackRock, the longer we kick the can down the road on climate change, the worse it's going to be.